I don't hear anything.
All right, we're gonna type in.
Those are the sleep crackles.
Okay, I'll see that now. I have 29.
Maybe it's my Mac.
29.
Okay. All right.
29.
We got 29 entries now for YouTube. Okay. That's a lot better. Okay.
Somebody D wrote U and then TOOB.
All right, so type in YouTube all lowercase if you want a chance to win Daryl Eve YouTube formula. That's what we're doing right now.
I thought you were gonna cut it off after if you want a chance to win Daryl Leaves.
What is up, everybody? My name's Lewis, also known as MrCameraJunkie, where I remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. Welcome once again to the live stream. Today is Saturday, August 7th. We are just passing over 11 o'clock, as usual, here on the live stream, and I welcome you, as always. Thank you for spending your time here with me. Well, today, we're kind of just hanging out because it's been such a busy week, and on top of the week, such an extremely busy Saturday. Now, on top of my personal work and my personal errands that I had to run, one of the things that has been going on today, all day actually, and still happening right now, is a special fundraiser that's going on for one of our fellow creators, Owen Video, and he has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, which is inoperable at this moment, and he has found alternative measures to handle the situation, and good news is that those measures are working to his benefit. They're showing good results. The thing about it is that it's a very extreme diet and also a very costly procedure or costly method of treating his cancer, and it's very costly. So for this reason, the community, the YouTube community, has gathered together and actually started creating a fundraiser to try to reach the goal of $150,000 to take care of these very expensive medical bills for one of our brothers, and a lot of people within the community know who Owen Video is. I was made privy to him through the Nick Nimmin live streams in the morning, and every time that you would see him or watch one of his videos, you can see that his enthusiasm and his energy just jumps off the screen. So to have a showing of such a massive gathering, and as of right now, let me just double check, because we have a GoFundMe. Well, there is a GoFundMe, and right now it looks like it's at $71,815. Now, crazy enough, I start my Saturday mornings every week with Nick Nimmin in the Nimminati, and it's like my Saturday morning cartoons, like when I used to be a kid. Now it's my Saturday morning Nicktoons, where I'm in the live stream. And I've been getting so much great information from Nick Nimmin and all of the guests that he brings on pretty much weekly to that live stream. Nick is also one of the live streams that I would always watch, that kind of made me realize, like, I absolutely love the live streaming format. But through there is where you see that he decided to not actually do his live stream, and he spent, believe it or not, over 12 hours on the live stream today. And he lives in Thailand, meaning he's not doing it during his day, but during his evening. And he ran straight through the night, I think till 7 a.m. in his time, which is incredible. And, big up to Nick Nimmin, and also some of the moderators that were in chat, Doug Hewson, Beanie Draws, that are from Australia. And I'm not sure where Doug is from, but like from the completely different sides of the world, and they're also staying up all night to help moderate the chat while they're doing massive giveaways to try to bring more eyeballs to this cause, which is to help out one of our own. And it's something that has been in the tips of a lot of people's tongues for like the last couple of weeks. Let me just say what's up to a couple of people that I see that are popping in here. So right off the bat, we have our usuals, Scott, we have Kevin, who stopped in here, Randall, the Convos, KP, appreciate you, sir. We also have Dr. Elo and James from Serenity Journey. Yes. And he's saying, yes, Doug is from Australia. So yeah, exactly. So the thing is that, you know, I'm also part of, on top of the Neminati community, I'm a part of a lot of these online communities. I'm always participating and trying to help as much as possible because I absolutely love the platform and I love what these people are doing. So I want to contribute as much as I can. And, you know, I'm also part of the Just Create More Mighty Networks community that's being hosted by Heather Ramirez and Tom Buck. And quite a few, you know, I'm also part of the LGL community on Facebook and on YouTube. That's the Let's Get Live, you know, and that organization that's headed up by Doc Rock, Diana Gladley, and David Blackman. I can just continue to go on and continue to speak about being part of all of these online communities, but as of late, you know, there's been a lot of creator economy talk and creator community, and that's one of the things that we are building here. As you can see, I'm starting to get some messages here. Thank you, Peter Gregg. As I can see, he just bought me a coffee, and there you go. As you can see right there, Peter Gregg just bought me a coffee. So thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And you see, that's just a prime example of what this community is all about. I'm here on this platform, and you know, thank you, Peter, because I mentioned you the other day on KP's stream, you know, the combos, that you were probably one of the first ones who noticed the potential in me before even I noticed it. And you took the time to highlight me on a couple of your streams, and that is probably what allowed Tom to see me as part of your community. And now I get to call Tom a very good friend of mine, and so do you, you know, like, and that I get to call you a good friend of mine. And it's just incredible, the community that gets built online. And Heather has been talking about this for like the past couple weeks, because it's really, you know, building a community, you know, people, because everybody here in chat, on top of you guys knowing me, you know each other, you know, there's conversations in chat, and everybody's constantly, like right now, Dr. Elo, see, another prime example, just saying hi to Ricky from Philtopia, saying hi as well. And this is all part of it. And for those of you who were here with me last week, also knows how real this community can get and how incredible they are. And this is just another illustration of it. Right now, currently, Viper, which is another community member, and I'm talking about, there's been so many people that have been running in and out of this stream all day. Viper decided to take it on himself to actually keep the torch going, because we're really trying to reach the goal of $150,000 for Owen. So they didn't really have a plan, but to conserve the live stream itself, you can't go past 12 hours. So they closed that off so that these machines of content creators like Nick Nimmin could actually get a little bit of sleep, including Daryl Eves and a lot of other content creators. But they're trying to keep it going for 24 hours and try to see if they can keep the torch going, to have the torch like be given back to the peoples who originated the live stream earlier today, which is an incredible goal. And that's just them trying to, you know, accomplish the monetary goal of $150,000 for their family. Now, if you want to donate, I did put links in the chat, and a lot of you that are probably here probably were coming from that live stream. I know Kevin and KP here were already aware, because some of my audio was leaking at the beginning. But it's just, I just stay in awe, because so many creators that have never met Owen, like myself, have been impacted by a creator like Owen. And we see the value of the person. And for that reason, Randall, thank you for the coffees as well. And this community is so amazing that there it is. That thank you, Randall. I appreciate it so much, and I stay amazed because I'm doing everything that I can right now. I'm working my way to this conference, People of Video, and that's a personal goal. But now, when I came to take the time of what I needed to do today for the live stream, I have to be honest, I was completely engulfed by the live stream that was going on for Owen, and that's why I'm still talking about it right now. I've already spoken to Viper, so most likely once I'm done here with this live stream, I'm going to see if I can do a little bit more. And now that I have everything set up, see if I jump on the live stream over there to keep things going, to try to put my part into it. And you know, Peter Gregg knows that there's been plenty of times that he's held a 7-hour live stream, you know, and that's just because we love talking about cameras. And now when there's an actual, you know, like an actual mission, a reason why, you know, we're trying to keep this live stream alive to get this information to as many people as possible, I'm going to try to do everything that I can to try to put part into this community. Because okay, let me know, Tech for Your Needs on Nano just said that he's hearing cracking on my audio, so let me know if it's just him or if you guys are hearing it as well. But Owen's video, it should be playing, right? I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I don't have anything playing right now. Hopefully no audio except my own is coming through. But okay, so yeah, check your audio, because Kevin just said that he's not hearing any cracking on his end. Okay, but thank you for that information, sir. I always appreciate giving the heads up and being able to notice it quickly, because if it was a problem, I'd be able to handle it. That yeah, I've been in that chat pretty much all day. I've been able to do what I needed to do as work, but I'm just in awe with how many people, on top of donating themselves, are donating services. Like Doc Rock is part of the Ecamm community, and they're giving away year-long memberships to the pro subscription. And on top of that, Doc Rock is giving a special, you know, like crash course on how to use Ecamm for the newbie, which I believe he charges a pretty penny for, and he's giving that also for free as contribution to this, you know, to this fundraiser. And as Heather Ramirez has been saying, that, you know, it's building community over subscribers, and I'm lucky enough to say that that's what I've been able to start cultivating here on this channel, and that I appreciate so many of you for that same reason. You guys are so incredible because you're part of this same community that's over there on that live stream, that's unifying for a great cause. And I just wanted to share that as well, because it's worthwhile. You know, at the end of the day, the most important thing is the relationships that we build. And I haven't been able to meet Owen yet, but he's definitely one of those dudes that I'm going to shake his hand, you know, sooner rather than later. And for that reason is why I'm here trying to put my part. And, you know, and what I'm doing is very small, you know, because, and I want to be very clear, because it's not me, you know, I have my own personal things, but because of the community that is you guys have been able to share some donations to me, to my Buy Me a Coffee, to my PayPal. And with that, I've been able to take the blessings and move it forward. So I've been able to donate towards this cause on my behalf, but that's only happened because of the community that we've cultivated here. So I want to thank you for allowing me to do that. And now I'm going to try to take my physical efforts and try to put another type of, donation towards his cause. And I just think it's worth it. So that was something that I just wanted to share with you guys, because the most amazing thing that I have found here on YouTube is the community, is you guys, is the fact that you find like-minded individuals who I'm just still in shock, something that happened just this past week, which was pretty interesting, which was one of the content creators or YouTube coaches on the platform that I've been able to be privy of, which is Brian G. Johnson, held the live stream. And in that live stream, he was able to ask me if he was able or if he was going to get to meet me at one of the upcoming conferences, because he wanted to meet me. And that just blew me away, because the fact that Brian G. Johnson is looking forward to meeting me at a future conference, that means so much to me, because he's someone that I definitely look up to, especially on this platform. So it's because of this community and because of all the support that that we give each other, honestly. Like, KP's always saying iron sharpens iron, and we're always here trying to level each other up. And there's a saying that's always going around, which is the rising tide raises all ships together. And I'm starting to see that so clear. And like, as you start recognizing it, like as it starts unveiling itself in front of you, I can't tell you how amazing it is, because you really start seeing the grasp of it. And what we're seeing here is just a little bit of it. Let me see if I can pull this up. Let me switch the scene. Okay, yeah. So this is what we're dealing with right now. Just gonna press play. I got them muted, but as you can see right now, we have Viper, Christina Smallhorn, Andrew Can, Oscar Rodriguez, and Doug Hewson. And Doug Hewson's in Australia. He's been up all night, and he's on the live stream. That's amazing. Oh, okay. The Convos is saying the gate is trying to swing the mic, but no worries. You see, that's funny, KP, because I was just talking about trying to get this microphone tuned in, and that's why I ended up on your live stream the other day, and that's when I was talking about Peter. So it's just so funny that that's exactly what it was. So, Nano, that's funny. I want to be like you when I grow up. Okay, but as you can see, look, this is what's going on right there. And because these guys have just taken the baton and are running with it, they also need help right now to just keep things going. So that's why I said, once we're done here, I'm gonna talk to Viper through a DM and see if I hop on over there, just to help out, to spend some time and just carry the baton a little bit till the next person comes and grabs it along. So I think that's also going to be fun, on top of the fact that it's so many creators that I was able to make contact with, either through these live streams themselves or maybe through a Clubhouse conversation. So many, like I said, so many different communities that I've been made privy to through friends of friends, through creators that are creators. And just, it's so amazing. It's so amazing what's happening right now. And I'm just so glad to be a part of it, to be a part of the YouTube community, to be a part of the Filmtopians. Look what he says: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And he's got it, man. Like, Ricky is such an amazing content creator here on the platform, and he's doing such amazing things with his channel. It just goes to show you the power of this community, because he's a prime example of what, Tom and Heather are creating. And that's just a small little positive ripple in this, YouTube universe. But you may think it's small, yet these ripples, they just reverberate. Like they echo through the halls of the platform. And it really makes a difference. And this stream right here, this whole day long stream really showed me that. Doc Rock hopped on there, was helping out. Roberto Blake, like I mentioned before, Brian G. Johnson, Nick Nimmin. Nick Nimmin's a monster, man. That dude went from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. That's incredible. Like, that's just beast mode, like that is. But and then the other thing is, Nick Nimmin, for those of you who don't know, because this is the best, and this, you guys will probably love this. Nick Nimmin said that he would dance for donations earlier in the live stream, and Daryl Eves just wanted to get memes out of it, and he got them. He got he got plentiful. So Nick Nimmin purposely embarrassed himself for Owen, and now there's like a slew of Nick Nimmin and Roberto Blake dancing videos all over Twitter, and it is so funny. It's so funny, but it goes to show you, it's so amazing, this community. And well, yep, that's what I wanted to say about it. And like I said, I put links in the description, and so if any of you guys are interested, here, let me do this. This is the fundraiser. Let me just refresh that as well. And as it's refreshing, we're seeing if there's a difference. 71,850 right now as far as the donations go. And I've tweeted this, and I've been, participating as part of this all day. So it's what I have in my heart right now. Like I said, I haven't met Owen in person. Like, I haven't met a lot of you, and that's only a matter of time. So the same way that I hold all of you in regards, I hold Owen just the same way. And he's just as special to me as all of you, which is, I love you guys. That's all I can say. Like, you guys are so incredible. You guys are so awesome. And you're here hanging out with me on a weekly. I really can't ask for more, and I just know that there's more to come. So it's just an inevitability, and I'm humbled and grateful all the time. Okay, so the guy on the bottom left could figure out how to get his mic on. He was so embarrassed. It took him a minute to get the mic turned on. I think he needs you, Louis. Well, I wasn't listening. Right now I'm just paying attention to this stream. But talking about that, there was a question that Kevin had earlier today. Let me get back to it. Let me find it here. Oh, he said that he had bought the ZV E10, and I believe he got it with the kit lens. He says, I'm new to Sony interchangeable world. Okay, so Kevin, you said what lens you were trying to find for your ZV E10. Okay, let me go back to my main shot here.
All right, Catcher, the link is in your Twitter DM, bro. Come in at your leisure, man.
Going to use the camera for?
I appreciate all y'all dropping in and hanging out though tonight, because like I couldn't do this by myself. So thanks all of you all for joining me tonight on the stream.
Let me know.
All right, so PE4 Doer says, at what point should we stop experimenting?
Like live streaming, photography.
You know what? I'm going to pass it to Andrew, because like I said, Andrew used to do this for a living. So Andrew, what would you think to the question?
I retire?
Or primarily, and then I can give you a better estimation.
I don't know.
Be looking for.
I guess I'm retired.
Especially in the Sony E-mount system.
Take it.
A good thing about the Sony
this
E-mount
might be a
is
hot
that
take, but
all
in
the
terms of
lenses work on
experimentation.
all
You
the
should be
cameras.
experimenting
So
to do
let's
one
say
thing
you
different
have
from
an
every piece of
APS-C
content.
lens
That's
and
what
you
I
put it on
honestly
a full
think. I
frame
think that
camera.
there should be
The camera will
something
recognize the
Oscar,
APS-C
what are you doing to me,
lens
bro?
and
What are you doing to me,
automatically
Oscar?
go into a crop
That's
mode
you ain't an actor.
to maximize the
That's
light.
not me.
You guys hear that too, right?
And
Yeah.
the fact
What the
that
hell
it's
is that?
the same exact mount
Hold on,
is
let me
you
see
can
something.
full frame lens.
I mean,
Put it on
It's a
APS-C.
joker.
There's some people out there
It's
who
like
say that
remixing
that's
what
the
we're
Everything
way.
Doug says.
The only way that I can say that putting a
It's a joker.
What is that?
It's a joker.
I-
It's
I
a
know.
joker.
When Doug
I'm gonna
muted,
turn
it
this off.
stopped.
Oh, yeah. And you try to blame me. Yes.
Dang,
That was like hearing myself laugh.
I don't have anything on the iPad. Sorry about that, guys. Let me just. I never turn on the iPad. I try to do something nice to show this thing the iPad is. No, I got it now. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, Ricky. Okay, so I don't know what you guys heard or didn't hear, but I'm gonna continue. Oh, what I was talking about was Kevin's camera. Kevin, I don't know if you heard me because that could have been going through it. Type in the chat what you're going to be using the camera for majorly. This way I can actually tell you what type of lens that you're going to be looking for. It says I'm trying to decide on the Sigma 16 or something more versatile. It says streaming probably first, but also photography. Liking the 18 to 35 f2.8, but not sure what else. Hey, how you doing, Raphael? Welcome. Okay. The 18 to 35 f2, I believe that's a full frame, you know, and that's what I was just going to mention. You can get full frame lenses if that's something that you're going to be looking to get into in the future, and that's what's really cool about Sony. Now, what I was mentioning was this, that there are some people who have mentioned that putting a full frame lens on an APS-C camera is like futile, like it's something that you shouldn't do, when I actually think quite the opposite. You know, a lens is usually determined by its corner sharpness and its corner distortions. You know, how bad is the image stretched? Is it holding the lines correctly? Or on top of that, you know, like if it's sharp or if it's losing the sharpness towards the edges, because it's harder to get the resolution on that correct. So every lens, and I mean every lens, is always sharpest in the center. So if you take a full frame lens that has glass to cover the entire sensor, yet you're only using the center part of that, which is the sharpest part of all of the elements, then you're effectively removing the two major negative points to any lens, which is being the edge sharpness and the edge distortion. So if you were to use a 18 to 35 millimeter lens on an APS-C camera like the ZV-E10, there is a crop factor of 1.5. So 18 at 1.5, I believe, is, if I'm correct, I believe it's 32. I could be wrong. And you know, so you're going to be getting like a 32 to a 45 millimeter. Let me make sure my math is correct right now. No, it's a 27 to 50. Okay, so that's actually a pretty good range, you know, for all around, you know, camera kit. But just so that you know, you're going to be looking at a 27 millimeter to 52 in the range with the APS-C, using the 18 to 35 millimeter lens on it. But going back to it, from my experience, I've taken the kit lens from my full frame camera, which is the Sony 28 to 70 millimeter, and I've heard a bunch of people, and I mean a bunch, just say this is the worst lens, don't buy it, it's not worth anything, you can't use it for anything. And I threw that on an A6000, which, like I said, eliminate the 2 faulty points of any lens, and zoomed it into 70, which gives me 105 millimeter equivalent. And even at f5.6, you're getting blurry backgrounds, you're getting super sharp images, you're getting incredible photography, and the OSS on that lens is incredible for video if you wanted to use it for video. Like, the video OSS on that lens is actually really good. So for those reasons, you can look into a full frame lens that's going to get you a good quality image, and it's still a full frame lens. So if in the future you decide to go to a full frame camera, you don't have to reinvest on a bunch of full frame glass because you're already using it. And that's part of the advantage of Sony APS-C, or the Sony E-mount system, for the reason that my favorite lens is the Zeiss 55mm f1.8, and when I use it on my APS-C camera like my A6100, it gives me an equivalent of an 85mm, which is incredible for portrait lenses. And then the compression that you're getting of 55mm, which is one of the ones that is closest to the eye naturally. So you're getting the compression of a 55mm on the face, yet you're getting the cutout and the depth of field of an 85mm in the shot. Hands down, my favorite lens to use. Hands down. Every time I use that lens to take photos, it looks awesome. And even when I use it for video, it looks incredible. The only thing is that it's really tight for video, so it's really hard to use the camera across the room when you're using that lens. But with that being said, it's an incredible ecosystem to get into because you have that option. You know, my Sony A7R2 goes into 4K APS-C mode. So whenever I want to use 4K in this camera natively, it's already going to crop into the Super 35, which means whenever I want to use 4K on my high-end camera, my lenses become cheaper because I don't have to invest in full frame glass because it's optimized for APS-C, meaning I can throw my my Sigma 16mm onto this and I get steady shot IBIS, 4K 30, 4K 24, every picture profiles, S-Log, S-Log2, hybrid log gamma. This camera has everything in it as if it were honestly an A6500. And then when I throw full frame glass on it, it goes full, full throttle at 42.2 megapixels. So it's got the best of both worlds. And that's why I absolutely love that camera, because it caters to my needs, but it still gives you options when you jump into the Sony ecosystem. Now, there's a lot of people who think that the 10 to 18mm lens is a great lens. I also heard a lot of people recommending that lens with that camera. I wouldn't be that person just because I personally used that lens and it wasn't my favorite, but that's why it's to each his own. When it came to going to 10mm and going really wide, it was just a little bit too fisheye for me. So for that reason is why I personally didn't like it. I like my wide angle lenses like the one that you're seeing now, which is called rectilinear, meaning it's going to keep everything kind of straight. As you can see, we have angles, but my door is straight. The lines are straight up and down. Here, let me check the chat because we're starting. So we got Devin Chambers here. What's up, man? Welcome. We have Aubrey. What's up, Aubrey? I think this is the first time that you catch one of my live streams, so I appreciate you stopping by. Okay, so yeah, I don't know if that helps you out when it comes to the camera, the ZV-E10, but when it comes to the Sony APS-C setup, man, there's so many options. Just as long as you think before you make your next move. Like, I was so close, honestly, I was so close to buying like an A6500, And then this camera hit the mark, and I was like, it's a full frame photography camera, which is what I prefer. Yet it has everything that I wanted that was more than the A6000. So let me also be clear. When I purchased this camera, I was on the A6000 body. I didn't have the A6100. So it was either like A6100, A64, A6600. And I scratched all of those, and I ended up buying the A7R2 and been super happy with it. So because these options exist is why oh, Kevin, how you thank you. Kevin just bought me 3 coffees. Thanks, bro. I appreciate you, man. But yeah, so that's why just you made me lose track of thought. I don't even know what I was saying. Just you made me lose track of thought. But thank you, Kevin. Wow, I totally lost my train of thought. I was talking about cameras, but when it comes to options with Sony, there's a plethora. So I would also say, you know, you got yourself an incredible little camera there. That camera's gonna it's gonna do you so well for so many years. And the fact that it has the latest and greatest when it comes to skin tones in the Sony color science, and also pretty much the best autofocus, 480 focus points. That camera is sick. That, you know, I bet you're probably pretty surprised with what you're getting out of the kit lens, but the Sigma 16mm is great for this exact reason, that like the camera is so close to me. Like I can literally touch the camera and you're still gonna get a good wide, you know, image pretty much anywhere. Like my room is not that big, you know, like it's the back wall is right there, and yet this lens could make things look a lot bigger than what they are. It really also depends on your exact setup, but here's another thing, you know, on top of this lens being really good for video, personally, my personal experience, absolutely love this lens also for photography. This is such an amazing lens. Now, one of the most popular lenses for the Sony full frame lineup is their G Master 24mm f1.4. I haven't tried this lens, and there's a reason, because I'm afraid that I'm gonna fall in love with it. 24mm is one of my favorite focal lengths, and the fact that every person that I've been able to communicate with that has tried this lens, has had it in their hands, literally has said, absolutely my favorite lens. The best thing, like, is just amazing. The image quality, the colors, everything. It's super expensive, and it's like, you know, that saying, if you don't know how good it is, like, you don't miss it, right? You can't miss something that you don't know. So that's why I haven't tried that lens. I haven't tried it because of 2 reasons: that, you know, I don't know how good it is, so I won't know what I'm missing. And number 2 is that this lens is actually very good, and even though it's an APS-C, it still gives me that same 24mm equivalent. It still gives me the fast speed aperture of 1.4, and for that reason, I haven't had the need, to even try that lens, because of the fact that I have this one and I'm happy. So it's also like, know your lane, because I don't want to fall in love with a lens that I'm gonna then have to like sell a kidney to buy, because that thing is like $2,400 or something. It's just way out of my budget when it comes to just a lens, and it won't even work. Like, it won't be my best investment at the moment. I think my best investment would probably be another 16mm f1.4, so that I can put it onto this camera and have them match on my live streams. Yep. Like, Oh, nope. Let's just forget that. For some reason today, Ecamm is not cooperating. It changed all my cameras because that wasn't supposed to happen. I think once I connected the iPad, it might have seen the iPad as another source and is throwing everything out of whack. Oh, Art's here. What's up, man? How you doing, sir? Welcome. Says currently shooting on the GH5 and G85. That's what you're currently shooting on? Well, when it comes to autofocus, this is going to be a game changer. But I would also ask, what lenses are you currently shooting with these? Because if you already know, like me, I know I love 24mm focal length. Just love it. Because of that, I invest my money in those aspects. If you already know which is your favorite micro four thirds lens, I can more or less show you, or well, you could figure it out yourself as well, because it all has to do with focal length. Like, let's say, for instance, you were to say, oh, the 12mm on my micro four thirds is like my favorite lens, then I would tell you right away, get the Sigma 16. They're equivalent to the same thing because the micro four thirds takes your focal length and literally doubles it. So a 12 would be a 24. A 24 would be a 48. You know? So it just works that easily because of the simple fact that it's just literally doubling the number. It's like 100% crop factor. So it's, 100mm, it's a 200mm zoom. So the micro four thirds system, there's a creator who actually prefers that for birding because he's gonna get a smaller package. I believe he uses Olympus, the OMDs, but regardless, it's still the micro four thirds, and he uses that to get extra reach in a much smaller package than pulling out a full frame 600mm. He gets a small 300mm zoom lens, and he's getting that same reach with the features that he prefers because that's what he does. He doesn't do YouTube videos. He does birding, and he does, photography walks. So with the photography walks and all that, that's what he prefers. So that's when that camera caters to him. So, oh, Kippy's here saying what's up to Kevin. Okay, so he says he loves his EOS R. What lens do you use with your EOS R? Because that's cool. She says I'm with you on the 24mm f1.4. It's such a great focal length. And that's why I said I'm super happy that I found this Sigma 16 because it's saved me a lot of money right off the bat. Like, don't get me wrong. Once I'm able to afford that lens, I know I'm going to buy it because I love 24. And that's what I aspire to get for my full frame cameras as well. I love the focal length. But right now, I'm pretty happy. And I'm even happier that I haven't had the need to spend all that money for the lens or the focal length that I want. Says shooting on the Canon EOS R as well, and the Canon RP. The RP, I'm gonna be honest with you, the RP has always intrigued me. It's always intrigued me. It's just like the new version of the Canon, like T2i, like it's a full frame. It's got, a lot of good things, but it's definitely been, crippled, so to speak. But for photography, that's where it's intrigued. And the fact that it is the cheapest route to get to like Canon like lenses, and even to try them out, that's what's intrigued me, because you can find that body. You could probably find that body for like around $500 now. And I believe that Canon came out with a 50mm f1.8, like their Nifty 50, which I think runs a couple hundred, maybe $300. So you can get a really, really nice setup for photography, portraits, and everything with a 1.8 and a Canon RP body for under $1,000. That's a nice setup, but I would have to say that's got to be more photography driven instead of video. I do believe that the RP is crippled with the 2959. Kippy says 24 1.4 is my daily driver on my EOS R and the R5. Love that focal length. I do too, man. It's wide, but it doesn't distort. It's just that, like, when you start taking a bunch of photography pictures and you're just taking a bunch of pictures, and even if it's on my kit lens, and then I realize most of my framing is at the 16mm focal length, it is on the wider side, then just started then investing on a prime. Once I got the prime, it was like, it's over. I was like, I absolutely love this. Coffee Talk and Tech says, yes, love the 18 to 35 also. Says, absolutely agree with getting what fits your use case. I think this told me the 16 first was when, and then the 18 to 35 down the road. Hey, you will never be disappointed with this 16mm. It's hard to, and I'm trying to say this in an unbiased way, right? Let's say I didn't even have this lens. Let's say I never used it, just didn't care for it at all. The numbers don't lie. This lens sells like hotcakes. And I haven't heard one person say anything negative about this lens. Actually, I talked about it the other day that the reason why I think it's so sharp is because it does not have in-body image stabilization. And I take that back to my days of shooting Canon, because I used to have this really nice, it was called a hyper zoom. It was an 18 to 200mm zoom that was about this big, fit so nice, and it had a locking feature so it would never creep on you no matter what. And because it was like that, I used to always shoot it majorly at the 18, which was like a 28mm, 27 actually, we did the math. Hello. So it would give me a wide type of image, and locked that way is how I used to use it majorly. But the fact that it did not have image stabilization and increasing the shutter speed, through photography and the reciprocal rule, is what allowed me to get such crazy sharp images, even at 200mm. Ooh, give me a second, guys. I need to hydrate. Wow. Okay. Oh, I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I am runt down because I was clearing out a old storage unit, just dumping all the stuff out of there, so it's like not paying for things that I'm not going to use anymore. And rented a U-Haul, started loading stuff out and dumping it out. And when you're not used to that work, wow. Look at me. It's got me yawning here on the live. But that's part of my day. So, all right. So it looks like we have quite a few Canon shooters here. Besides Kevin shooting Panasonic and moving over to Sony. But everybody's like shooting Canon and loving their either 24 to 1.4. Yep. And what do you shoot? What do you shoot, John? He says you love your 18 to 35. Are you shooting Sony as well? Are you, are you a Canonite? I just love it. There's been so much talk about recently about like which is better, so on and so forth. It's like, honestly, if you could afford both and you want both, go for it. The reason why there's so much like binary response when it comes to like either or has to do with the ecosystem, and that's where I really think that Sony right now, on top of autofocus, really has a leg up, because they have over 70 lenses available, whether it's full frame, APS-C. But it doesn't matter what camera you have. If that's the focal length that you want to use, you're able to purchase that lens, throw it on your camera, and you're good to go. Says, oh, I'm getting so much crap, I'll probably go to Sony. Listen, if you know how you shoot, right, you can still learn your camera so that you're completely not dependent on the autofocus, right? So don't get me wrong, I love using Sony for autofocus because it makes things so much easier, right? For example, I'm gonna head out of the shot and I know, because of the way that I've set everything up, that my camera is gonna focus on my microphone and not on the background. But as soon as I come back to the shot, it's gonna focus on my face and then lock right back on it. That's what, it makes it easier when you're a one-person crew here, like I am myself, and you're a solo content creator. But that doesn't mean that you cannot use equipment, especially like the EOS R and everything like that. Like, if you know that you're not going to be moving, right? And you're not going to try to do anything like this, like what is called like a product showcase, where you would bring something to the screen just to highlight that, then you really don't need autofocus. You can use manual focus, which is something that people totally forget that is possible. The majority of big time productions are shot on manual, so that there is no missed focus, because as a human, you're going to be paying attention to that and leaving nothing chance. So for that reason, if you're a solo content creator, don't think that you need autofocus. You can use like Sony's, they have this thing called dynamic manual focus, which I think is an amazing feature, because what it does is that it gives you manual focus so that you can use it on the ring, and a hint of autofocus if you want it. So let's say you were trying to set up a stream like this. I can put it into the dynamic manual focus, and it could be focused on the back wall completely incorrect. But what I would do is just hit my shutter like if I was going to take a photo, and I would just do half a press. It will dynamically focus on me because I'm telling it to. And as soon as it finds me and I let go, it doesn't move again. It just stays stuck on that plane of, that focal plane, and that will be your focus. So if you're doing a talking head like this, you can use something as simple as manual focus, where you lock it on one time and you set it and forget it, and you don't have to worry about it. Now, if you rock in and out, where you might be getting a little bit in and out of focus, it's not going to be the end of the world, because you're not going to have like the autofocus going crazy and hunting everywhere looking for you. It'll give you the time to just get right back into frame and nail the focus again. What is up? Professor Nez is in the house. Great to see you, Lewis. Had to pop in and say hi. You rock, brother. Thank you, bro. I will be definitely seeing you tomorrow. Professor Nez holds a weekly live stream, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, which ends up being 12:30 Eastern time. Hopefully I got that correct. But still, Sunday mornings, you can find Professor Nez right here on this incredible YouTube platform. He has an incredible show and podcast as well. So definitely you should go check him out. He's all about mindset and, getting your head game in the right place. and just an amazing creator. I'm just fortunate to have met him through Clubhouse and been in contact with him for like the last 7 months, and it's just been an amazing relationship that's been cultivated. So, and you will definitely see me there on a weekly. I'm a moderator in his chat, and yeah, come hang out. It's a lot of fun. Carlos Tacos, I have an old Polaroid. I do too, man. Let me see if I can find it right now. Oh, let's see. Boom. 101 times 0 1 step. This is the crazy thing, right? People complain about ergonomics on cameras. This is probably the worst ergonomic camera in history, and yet everyone loves this. A button that's in the front that you have to press in towards you. That is the worst shutter in shutters histories. But it was an instant camera and a classic. And for that reason, I still have one here. How am I not gonna have a Polaroid as a camera junkie, right? I love all of these vintage cameras, like this Yashica. Look at that. M42 mount, meaning it is literally a screw mount in 42 millimeters. I bought that camera, if I'm correct, I bought that camera for the lens that it came with. Yep. Okay, what is the best camera and software for shorts? The best camera and software for shorts. You may not. Let me prep you for this. It's your iPhone or your Android phone, especially for shorts. You're talking about vertical format. The easiest and probably one of the best cameras that you're probably going to use for any short, any type of TikTok, Instagram reel is probably going to be your phone. You're going to have the video right on there, and the software to edit it most likely is going to be the shorts that you're going to be using on the platform. I believe the shorts give you 15 seconds to make a video. If not, there's plenty of free programs that you can use to edit complete like length videos, not only shorts, on your Android or iPhone device. And yeah, that's probably going to be your best camera and software, Mr. Mojo. Especially if you're doing shorts. Kevin says, most of the time I leave my Panasonic lenses on manual focus because it'll be hunting all over the place every 10 seconds. You see? And by doing that, it makes these cameras very usable. It's not like you can't get the bypass around it, but it goes to show you now, like I said, if you did want to do something like this, right, and do like the product showcase, that's when these cameras, that's when it's worth it. So now that you have the ZV-E10, if that's something that you're looking to do in the future, you have that possibility. And even if you don't, you know you're gonna get like laser sharp autofocus whether you move in or move away. So it really doesn't matter, but you'll be good with the Sony ZV-E10. Yeah, and if you're gonna get the 16 millimeter, you're gonna be very happy with it. I am, at least. And best case or worst case scenario, if you dislike the Sigma 16 millimeter and don't like it at all, you'll be able to sell that lens for the value that you paid for it pretty much just right off the bat. You'll be able to flip it because everyone's buying these lenses and they love them. Says, yes, I tend to talk with my hands much and the autofocus is busted. You need to do manual focus. But it's a thing, you know, like people are afraid of manual focus when I think a lot of people would benefit from it. That's the way I feel. I think a lot of people will benefit from manual focus and just being able, you know, even if it was to just grab the, you know, the barrel and just start focusing in until, like, let's say you're using eCam if you have it close enough like I do, you're able to see where you're at, and you'll be able to say like, okay, that's not in focus, I'm in, out, and just gauge it and leave it, and you'll be good to go. Said, I still need to try my ZV-1 in studio, mostly used it out in the wild. Well, it's gonna be good either way. Oh, let's not do that. Look at me. Cool. Okay. That shouldn't have happened. Okay, Kippy says, what's your most prized camera? What do you mean by prized? Because if it's like the one that's most near and dear to my heart, that's a good question, but I would think it would probably have to be this point and shoot that really was one of the biggest catalysts of me getting back into photography. What's up, Raymond? How you doing, sir? The man, the myth, the legend, the real Raymond. Okay. I've mentioned this camera before. The Minolta Dimage G530. Oh, it still has power. Let's take a look at the specs. A 2.8 to 4.9 in the f-stop, and it's supposedly a 5.6 to 16.8 millimeter lens. But to be honest with you, I can't even tell you, like, if this has a sensor that's the size of an iPhone, I'd be impressed. It is a rangefinder, so one of the things that I really enjoy about it is that even while it's off, you're still able to see through an optical like rangefinder to kind of frame your shot, because the LCD on the back definitely is not big enough for you to see. It is a 5 megapixel, if I remember correctly, which was like unheard of the time that I got it. So a 5 megapixel camera, and then on top of this had the feature that really got me back into it and why I started using it in the first place, was the macro capabilities. Now, I do electronics repairs, so when I would purchase parts, get them from the distributor, and if I was unfortunate enough to have received a damaged part, I would be able to actually take a picture of the damaged area, which was something that wasn't able to be found unless you had like a macro type setup on a full size camera, or let's just say like a DSLR type camera at that time. And the fact that I was able to get sharp images zoomed in and then made into macro, because it like the macro feature actually zoomed in even more, almost like Sony's clear image zoom, and be able to snap a picture that was not usable but very, very sharp. I still give props to this little 5 megapixel camera, and very pocketable. Built-in flash, and as you can see throughout the years, the battery has held up to the fact that it sits here on my desk and I can pop it open and just start listening to it. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, I just started using it right now, and the chrome just started lifting right there. See it? Let me see if we can actually focus on it. See that little dark spot right there? Oh, it's breaking. Let me leave it alone. But I would probably say that that's my most prized camera, for the reason that it's the one that I haven't sold and I haven't even thought of selling. Like, that's, I don't know, it has too much sentimental value for me. Like there's no price, like the price will be way too low for what I would actually sell that camera for, because of all the memories that I've had with it. And even to the fact that I say I'm kind of here right now because of it. Kim Bucha's in the house. What's up, Kim? Welcome. Saying hello to everyone. Art saying my... Excuse me. Okay, let me get back to it. It says my kit is a Sony A6100 with a Sigma 16mm f1.4 for streams, A6400 with a Tamron 17 to 70mm f2.8 to learn photography and video. That's a great setup, man. You know, for example, the A5100 doesn't have like all of these focus points for autofocus things. It still has clean HDMI out, and it still has the face recognition on the autofocus. I would tell you, you know, like you could just simply set it. And I'm not telling you that you have to, or that you probably have it exactly the same way, but you set it up to wide on that Sigma 16 and you're going to get good quality image, and that is going to focus so very well, especially for live streaming. You know, right now we're talking about, you know, the live stream that's been going on in Nick Nimmin. Nick Nimmin live streams every Saturday. Has just passed 800,000 subscribers on his channel, and he live streams from an A5100. That is his live streaming camera, and it's been his camera for years. Absolutely loves it, and uses the same lens as well, the 16mm f1.4. That's why I can say so many professional live streamers use that same camera or that same lens on whichever camera body that they're using. That's why I can rest assured in recommending it. On top of me using it myself, it's highly regarded, and it's worth the money. Yep. All right. But today has been a very interesting day. It's been a day of hanging out and catching up. For those of you who came in late, I had been mentioning that today we've been running a day-long live stream in fundraising for Owen Video that has come down with stage 4 cancer. That's inoperable, but he has found treatment that has been working for him. But the treatment and the cost of living and the fact that he can't work during the treatments and everything like that is a very high cost to him, his family, so on and so forth. So they're holding a fundraiser to raise $150,000 for Owen, and it's been going on all day. And most likely I'm gonna be closing down the live stream and joining them over there. I'm gonna see if they need my help, you know, even if it is to just open a conversation like we're doing here and do it there to help out a great cause. I've left information about the GoFundMe fundraiser, and if you were to donate via the GoFundMe, it's set up so that they get 100% of the benefit of the proceeds. And there's a option as well, like there's a good chance that you could win some prizes. If you go over there, they have a ton of things that they're giving away to anyone who's donating or participating in the live stream. So I highly recommend that you guys go check that out, because they've been doing an amazing job and I want to support them as much as I can. I've been part of the chat and keeping things going for the majority of the day, and it looks like I might be doing some throughout the night as well. So like I said, if you guys are able to do it, it would be appreciated, because it just shows sign of how powerful the community is on this platform. The fact that, you know, when one of our brethren is in need, you know, it's like we all come, you know, and show support, whether it's physical, emotional, or monetarily. And that's what's so amazing about this platform. It's why I love it so much. I love all you guys. You guys are all amazing. and it's just so amazing to be a part of this. And yeah, and that's something that I've come to realize, that I'm a bigger part of this community than what I even thought. And I want to thank all of you guys, because you guys showing me the support that you did last week really showed that to me. You know, it really illustrated how incredible this community is and why I love it so much. So thank you for everyone who was here last week and is here this week, because it's all about the community. It's all about what we're building here. So thank you. Okay. It says that's what India was using earlier in her stream, the 5100 and the 16mm. Yeah, and let's see if I could check this up. I'm not gonna pull up anything on the iPad because I'm not gonna try to risk some like inherent noises. Okay, what I just typed into Google was the A5100 release date. And this camera was released in 2014. What month? September. Okay, so the end of 2014. So where we're at right now, we're literally talking about an 8-year-old camera, right? No, 7-year-old. 7-year-old camera, and that thing is still rocking for Sony. So if that will let you know one thing, is this, Kevin, you that just got the ZV-E10, you're probably gonna be good with that camera for the next 8 years. Think about that. That's $100 a year in rentals for that camera. And that's just like hypothetically right off the top. So when you think of things like that, right? Because you know, we're always telling people, hey, rent a camera before you buy it, you know? It's that same rental mentality that allows you to pull the trigger on some of these, you know? And I'm going to give you this story from me personally. When I first got my hands on the Sony A6000 and I started my transition from Canon to Sony, I didn't have any lenses for my Sony A6000, and I was using the Metabones adapter, which I don't see here. Oh, actually here, yeah. This little bad boy right here. The EF to E mount T Metabones adapter. So you throw this backside onto your Sony camera, and it effectively becomes an E mount right in the front. So it's like convert any Sony into a Canon. Boom. So I was using all of my Canon glass on my Sony cameras. Now the images, immaculate. I had no issues with any of the images that came off of that setup. Autofocus worked, but it's slow, and I mean really slow. And I was going to be doing a photo shoot with a energetic 6-year-old boy who was just like, you know, jumping out of his skin. And it's almost like inherent, like children, even if they're standing still, they're vibrating. It's like they're just shaking, so you can still get blurry photos. And because of that, I started looking into which lenses that I was going to buy. And at first, what I had thought was I'm just going to rent a lens that's native to the Sony camera system so that it can maximize the autofocus so that I can make this photo shoot as easy as possible. And then I started looking at the prices of how much it was going to cost me to rent that lens. And the lens that I'm talking about is just the basic nifty 50 50mm f1.8 from Sony, and it was the full frame, even though I was going to be using it on an APS-C camera. So I was doing the math, and at that moment that lens was being sold for an even $200 at Best Buy. And what I thought, in that case scenario, what actually ended up happening was that there was a 15% restocking fee at Best Buy if I did not like the lens. So I'm like, okay, $15 restocking fee out of $200 is $30, meaning I can pick up this lens, and worst case scenario, if I hate it, I can return it, and I only pay $30 on a restocking fee. So if I rented a lens for $75 and hated it, I still paid $75 and I don't have a lens. So the way I saw it literally was, I was like, I can make this investment and see if I like the lens. And if I do, I can keep it. And it will still be cheaper than if, even if I returned it to Best Buy, it will still be cheaper than if I rented it. So that's what I did. I went to Best Buy, bought it for $200, put it on my camera, and that solidified my transition to Sony because it worked so well. I was so happy with the images that I got that's what started me to move and start selling off all my Canon glass and started changing piece by piece in my kit from Canon to Sony, just because, why deal with the slow autofocus when the autofocus is the main reason why I personally made the switch. And I had mentioned this before. For photography, it allows me to be more creative and more details with my photos because I don't have to worry about focus points or nailing the focus, and then if something's out of place, fixing that in post. What it allowed me to do is actually see the image in its entirety through the viewfinder and not have to worry about the camera nailing the focus or me nailing the focus, because I know the camera is going to take care of that. So it allows my brain and my eye to just focus on the composition of the shot, make sure that everything is correct. To give you another example, on top of that, I did a photo shoot where I did not pay attention to all those details, right? And I was able to, frame everything correctly, but I wasn't overlooking the entire shot. The photos, the expression from the person that I was taking the portraits looked great, right? Amazing. What I didn't notice was that the young lady that I was photographing, she had put her hand in her pocket to take something out. And when you take something out that your pocket kind of stays inside out and the inside part of the actual pocket is sticking outside, and she was wearing jeans, that little rabbit ear thing, that just stuck out of the pocket, was in every single photograph. I spent so much time in post fixing that because it was such a huge eyesore. I had to clone the her left side of the jeans and flip it and then apply it and stretch it just to and that the right side of the jean pockets usually have a little extra pocket. All that's missing on all her photos because it's a clone of the left side being readjusted. So it looked like a pair of jeans that didn't have that extra fifth pocket. But that is a lot easier to overlook than that rabbit ear type of pocket. It was so bad. And for that reason is why I say that's why for my photography, I invested into this system, because it allows me now to look for those things in a photograph before I click the shutter and not have to worry about, am I getting is it on the right focus point? I'm going to switch the camera to vertical so that I can get more of a portrait type length instead of wide, so on and so forth. All of those things are not anything that I have to worry about when it comes to the autofocus when I'm doing photography. And the things that I do worry about is she wearing a hair tie? on her arm? You know, does she have an Apple Watch that looks, you know, you may not think so, but an Apple Watch could also date a photograph. You know, like it'll lock it into a certain, you know, time period, which could be good at times. But when it comes to portraiture, you're trying to make every image almost timeless, so that it doesn't matter what era you see the photograph. You can just look at the photograph and go, this looks nice. You know, if it was black and white and sepia, you know, looking like it was from the 1800s, you'd probably be like, it looks nice. You know, it really doesn't matter, because you're not looking or being drawn into a particular type of era or, you know, type of age because of any type of technology or jewelry, accessories like that. So jewelry obviously is a lot more acceptable because that's subjective to the year that it's made. But when it comes to technology, iPhones, Apple Watches, all that stuff, hair ties, these are all things that will just kill and just consume so much time in post-production that it's, I'm giving you a tip. If you're doing photos, try to pay attention to all the things that you think that you would overlook, because those are the ones that are going to haunt you in your post-production. Or maybe that's something that needs to happen so that you can understand these things yourself. You know, I can give you the tips, but sometimes, you know, you learn from your own mistakes. And, you know, if you come across something like that, then you would feel my pain and agree with me and saying, you know what, absolutely, it makes so much more sense to pay attention to those little nuances before you click the shutter than after. Because after the fact, you know, Raphael Ludwig was in here. Oh, Jared Spink is in here. What's up, man? How you doing, man? I had messaged you before saying like, how did your live stream go? And then I saw the message on the Just Create More that you moved it afterwards, and I was like, on the road, I was like, man, I feel like I missed your live stream twice today. Like I missed it when it was supposed to happen, and then when it actually happened. But that's awesome, man. Thanks for stopping by. Kevin saying hi. But yeah, going back to it, you know, it all depends on how you use you know, your tech. But when it comes to photography, you might have to learn, you know, these things on your own, because once you spent the hour right on one photo cloning out a pocket, and you're like, that's one of 20. that's when you're like, never again. I will never like not pay attention to pockets. And it's like a whole rundown before I, you know, start taking photos. People think it's weird. I'm like, okay, I put the camera down, I stand right in front of my subject, and I just like grill them up and down. I'm like, okay, like, you know, hair ties, let's get rid of those. Watch, let's take that out. Phones in your pocket, let's take that out. This, that, so on and so forth. That's just because it's gonna make everything so much easier. And like I had mentioned before, I don't know if he's still here, Raphael Ludwig, he's very big adamant of fix it in camera and finesse it in post, which is something that you learn in the photography side as well, which is you always want to get it right in camera. You always want to get it right in camera, because you're only going to make your job easier in post. And time is our most valuable commodity. So it's like, why waste it? And it is a waste when you can easily take care of something like a hair in the face and just have the model move it out so that you can get an appropriate shot, then you trying to fix and mask all that like it's some 3D effect in, you know, After Effects. So it's really not worth your time in post-production. And that's where you would spend most of your time. You know, a photo shoot could be a couple of hours, 3 hours, maybe a wedding, you know, but then at the end of the day, you're going to spend the majority of your work time in the post-processing. So the easiest thing that you can do for yourself, the better. And on a whole nother note, I use the Luminar artificial intelligence software suites. I've mentioned it to you guys before. I use that because my clients prefer it, right? Like it had nothing to do with me. Like I can sit there and spend a half an hour to an hour doing all the Photoshop to an image, right? and get it to the way that I like it. And then I let Luminar do its thing. And I present both images to the client, and the client prefers the Luminar image. So I'm not going to fight it, right? I'm like, it's almost as if I hired a full-time editor off of a program, and I'm like, go at it. And I let it do its thing now. I've also mentioned this before. I do set the parameters. I have the way I want the image, but if you're asking, am I literally going in and like retouching the lips and making sure that the lip saturation is heightened because I made the brush strokes? No, not anymore. I let the artificial intelligence recognize all that stuff and apply the changes that I want, and my clients are happy, and that makes me extra happy, and that's what matters at the end of the day. I don't know if you guys use any of those types of artificial intelligence. I haven't found the need to get the latest one, the Luminar AI, because in all sincerity, the Luminar 4 that I purchased the year before is still working perfectly fine with all my programs. So I haven't had the need, but that's just me personally. I think they're the same price if you want to purchase them now. But I would recommend you test them out. I think they give like a 2-week free trial or something like that. I would tell you to check out these Luminar AI if that's something that you're interested in when it comes to photography. It says, good, just got home from a shoot. Nice. Kevin says, after you start shooting photo and video, you learn to look at the world differently. Yeah, you actually start seeing it through the box, and like we clown on this little motion, right? This thing that you see people doing. And you're like, oh, this is like the cliche, you know, like director of photography going. That works so well. If you're able to just take this and just put a frame and be like, that's what that's gonna look like, how I would do it, this is just as good as you looking through a viewfinder. Once you start understanding to see the world differently, like Kevin was just saying, you do. And then it just gets to the point where you can see a good shot without putting your fingers up, you know? You can just see that and you're like, oh, I would love to like just clip this out. And it's almost like you would cut something out in Photoshop, but in real life, you're able to see the image and I'm like, I just want to cut this little chunk out right here. This, snap the picture and you got it. It says, yep, just like recording, just like audio, get it right in the recording. Yes. It says the worst thing is when a client says, we can just Photoshop that. We? That's probably my favorite right there, Jared. Saying we, like, we can just fix it like that. That requires me to spend all those extra hours. Yep. And when the and it's not, you know, it's to be real, right? Like, you know, some people let the vanity take over and they'll be like, oh, we can shrink things in Photoshop. And yeah, you can, but then it gets to a point where like, is this really you? And that's a whole nother subject for a whole different, you know, that's a subject for a whole different live stream. It says AI kind of sucks. I don't like the interface compared to Aurora HDR is amazing. Oh, I will have to check that one out. Like I said, I have my presets when it comes to Luminar, so it does what I ask it to do, and I've gotten pretty meticulous in it. That's why I haven't had the need to jump into anything else, because I have like kind of like LUTs or presets for the type of photography that I'm doing. You know, like if it's female, there's a female portraiture. If it's a male, it's a male portraiture. If it's female, multiple females portraiture, there's a different one. Mixed with male and female, all male, just a variety of different presets, and depending on what the camera, what the photograph is, it's just a simple one click. Says, couldn't agree more with that. Let's fix it after it's done. It's just like, let's fix it now is much easier. Yep. Especially like hair and different things like that. And a single hair running across the wrong way on somebody's face when you're dealing with a 42 megapixel file. Oh, that will just ruin your night. Says always looks better when you get it right in camera than fixing it later. Yep. And 100% better straight out of camera. Well, not straight out of camera. You know, we can't go SOOC here. The straight out of camera. Yeah. You still need to do a little, retouching. Oh, he says, I meant Luminar AI sucks. Luminar 4 is better. Really? Obviously you would think that the latest iteration would probably be better. But it's funny. You're not the first person that I hear saying that. I've actually heard somebody saying that it got dumbed down too much from the 4, that it took away a lot of the features. And they try to make it more like one click, and it took away a lot of the control. So I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. But with that being said, thank you for that information, Jared. That's cool. I got to check that out. I'll do a little bit more research, or maybe I won't. Because like I said, I'm happy with 4. And it works fine for me. So he's saying having it right out of camera, not naked out of camera. I like it. Yep, he says the same thing. The AI is dumped down. Yep, 100%. Says me, rifling through my messy nightstand notes. Take notes. There's always a replay, Art. And I want to thank you because you are part of my replay squad. That means so much to me, man. The fact that you take the time to hang out with me even when I'm not live, that just means the world to me, man. That's so awesome. And I'm just glad that I can bring value, the fact that you're here, like you wanted to take notes, means the world to me. It's what I aim to do here, and is just help as many people as possible get over their own fears or maybe their own confusion when it comes to camera technology. Because I think when it comes to photography and video, and not that I know that for a long time photographers were holding like this mystique over people's heads of like, oh, I understand, the camera jargon, the terms that we make up within the industry, or that some of them are legit. But I had mentioned before that I said chimping. I'm like, well, when you have a mirrorless camera, you don't have to chimp anymore. And somebody just like lost their mind. They're like, what is chimping? Now chimping, oh, I remember it was Rob. He had never heard that term before. Chimping is something that you see when you use DSLR cameras. So with DSLR cameras, because you have an optical viewfinder, meaning when I look through here, I see exactly what's coming out through there, and the camera is off. With that, for you to see the image that you just took, you would have to look at the back of the LCD screen. And a lot of these cameras would have like a 2-second, preview, so that as soon as you take the shot, you would see the image in the back for like 2 seconds before it went away. When you're looking at the back of the screen in those 2 seconds, or you're checking an image, it's referenced as chimping. And that's just one of the few words that gets thrown around in the photography world that will like just confuse the novice user. And the terminologies, shutter speed, aperture, ISO, white balance, all the terms that we are already used to because we're in this space. There's a lot of people that is just completely foreign. It is a different language altogether, and they don't understand it. And what I try to do is break down the the fear, you know, and maybe give people easier comprehension of these complex photography terms, because I don't think that the action of using the camera is all that hard. I think the terminology behind it is the biggest despair. You know, like I said, it's like going to a different country and trying to speak your native language. If you don't know how to speak the language that's native, you're going to struggle. But if you do, if you have comprehension of it, even if it's not 100%, but you'll be able to get by, you're going to have a much better time. And that's the same thing with photography. The more that you understand of these comprehensive terms and understand what it is that they're trying to say, then you're no longer scared of the terminology. And I referenced this because I had this conversation with my cousin, you know, a while ago, and we weren't talking about cameras. We were talking about air conditioning repair, because he was looking to get his license like I got mine. And when he was scared, he was just like, oh, I don't understand all that terminology, you know, like, and he was putting himself like in a negative mindset before he even took a test. And I looked at him and I go, David, you know football, right? And he's like, yeah. I go, so you sit there and you watch football every week, every Sunday? He's like, yeah. I go, so if I were to tell you there's a flag pattern or a post pattern or a double cross or something like that, you know everything that I'm talking about? And he's like, yeah. And I go, do you think the person who's watching football for the first time would know any of that information? He's like, no. And if he were to hear us talking about this, about linebackers, defensive ends, you know, tailbacks, you know, just terminology, the game doesn't change. But the terminology that they have comprehension of is completely off base. I said, they're gonna sit there and they're gonna be confused by a simple game because of the terminology. You that understand it will be able to follow along easily. I said, if you were to break down the terminology of air conditioning repair and no longer be scared of the words, then you have nothing to worry about. And the reason why is because he is the son of my uncle that's an air conditioning repair person. He's the one who I learned everything that I learned from. So he's been working just like me with his father, you know, for many years. And I go, David, like, you know this stuff. You're only scared of the terminology. Once he was able to get past his fear, I'm glad to say that my cousin David now does his own AC repair, and because of it has been able to thrive in the AC repair field and does it every day now, officially licensed, because I was able to get him past his fear of the terminology. That whole long story was to basically say that that's exactly what I do here with this channel. Like, I bring complex photography terminologies into a comprehensive term, into a way that's easily digestible, so that you're no longer scared of the terminologies of photography and you're able to enjoy all the benefits of it. Music cue. The music finished right. So that was perfect. But yeah, so that's what I aim to do here, you know, with my camera junkies and the platform, you know. And once you comprehend the terminologies, I think it's impossible for you to not be a camera junkie, right? Just to be able to appreciate all the different types of technology, because whenever a camera companies battle for our dollars, we're the ones who win, you know. When Canon came out with 8K on their R5 and they were like, oh, mic drop and all this stuff, I was just so happy, because I was like, I can't wait to see what Sony comes out as as a rebuttal, so to speak. And then Canon will come out, and then Sony will come out again. It's just gonna keep escalating, and we, the creators, are the ones who get to enjoy all the benefits of the upcoming technology. because I was really thinking, where can Sony go with the APS-C lineup? And I'm calling my shot right now. I think, you know, the future of APS-C in a lot of these cameras and a lot of these companies is going to be the technology of stacking the sensors, which is what they have on the ZV-1 and like the A9 and the A1. They have stacked sensors which allow like double the readout speeds, which is what allows them to do 30 frames a second, 20 frames a second with, you know, like with lag-free shutters. So it just goes to show you that at the end of the day, we're the ones who win. Okay, somebody just bought me some coffee. Let's see. The Hive Podcast. Oh, thanks, Jared. I appreciate it. But yeah, so let me see what he says here. It says, used to be a foreign language to me. Been learning nearly every day since 2016. Learning terminology and technique for both photo and video. Yeah, and they're hand in hand. Says Kevin Cox 100%. And not just photo and video, lighting, audio, all of it was foreign to me. That's very true. Like I would have to say I've learned so much about audio, you know, and I'm still learning because that's a whole thing. Waveforms, right? Like in video editing was something that used to scare me so much, right? Like you would see waveforms and you're like, what is this? I've edited enough that now I see waveforms like Cypher sees the Matrix. And it's pretty interesting because that's a good analogy for those of you who are Matrix fans. There's a part in the movie where Keanu Reeves, Neo, is staring at all the computer screens freshly out of the Matrix, and he's just seeing all these green digits rolling down. He's just seeing code and he doesn't understand it. And one of the other characters, Cyphers, walks up to him and says, you're just trying to decode it, right? He's like, it's impossible to decode. You know, you can sit here for hours and you'll never get it. He's like, I don't even see the code anymore. He's like, I just see, you know, like blonde, redhead, brunette, you know, because he's seeing the people or the images that code was providing for him. And believe it or not, I'm putting an effort to learn that aspect of the color grading and the video edit, and I'm starting to see what waveforms are and how they work. And it all has to do with how they are presented to us. And I'm probably gonna make a live stream about it because it's super interesting. Maybe it'll help you guys out just the same way. But it's so intriguing to me how computers understand the information comparative to the way our eyes see it, and how you're able to learn a lot from both because of both. So super interesting. He says, you need that coffee extremely late on a Saturday night. You're crazy. Hey, but Jared, you know what? I appreciate you and I appreciate this community so much, is why I do it, because this is the one time that I'm able to cut out of my extremely busy schedule and be consistent on. If I'm correct, I believe this is week 36 consecutive Saturday live stream, and this is where I'm at. This is Club Camera Junkie, and I love being here. We got some good music, you know, just to hang out, an even better conversation, amazing people, incredible community. It's just, this is the best. And like I was on a live stream with D Niman, and I told him, like, Saturday nights I don't go out, I go in on YouTube, I go in on my Camera Junkie community, I go in on my YouTube channel. I'm exactly in the place where I want to be. You know, I'm here with a smile on my face because this is so much fun for me. You know, it's like I don't even worry about the things that I used to worry about before. Like today, I had such an extremely busy day. I'm tired. I did not have time to like research anything, and I have nothing written down on my notes. And I already knew that. I'm like, I wasn't even worried about what was going to happen on the live stream today. I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out, you know? And it was very obvious to me that I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to keep talking about what I've been doing all day, which is, you know, Owen's live stream. We could talk about new cameras, old cameras, anything. And I was like, and whatever comes up is going to happen. It's almost as if, right? Like, we, you know, when it comes to live streams, and this is just the way, this is something that I'm starting to realize now, and just being upfront with you guys, it's almost like it's an inevitability, right? It's a given. We all know that we're gonna eat dinner tonight. What we're gonna have dinner, we don't know, but we don't worry about it because we know it's an inevitability. And that's the same way that I see my live streams here weekly. It's like, I'm not going to worry about what, like, I'm going to order at a restaurant before I go there. I just go to the restaurant, and when I'm presented with the menu, I make my decision. And that's the way that you do it on a live, right? You don't always go into every conversation with already predetermined notions of exactly how you're going to say everything. No, you're just holding a conversation and you're just gonna hang out. And that's what I love about this, that is just, you know, we can talk about anything and everything, and we can just hang out and spend like time with each other, and I get to know you guys so much more, and it's so much fun. Like, this is what it's all about. And like I constantly say, I'm already so grateful and blown away with what has amassed from this YouTube channel in such a short time. And I'm just so excited to see what's going to happen in the future. You know, the fact that I'm in contact with such amazing people. Like, I look at this list and, you know, I see these faces, and it's just like, it brightens up my day so much. I go, look, here we are 10 minutes away from 2-hour stream. Exactly, right? That's exactly my point. And if I were to sit here and maybe script everything out, because I've done it, I've gotten to the point, right, sometimes where I end up the script, and as soon as it's done, I'm like, okay, well, that's it. I'm done with the chat. See you guys later, right? And not that there's anything wrong with that, but like, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing right now either. You know, just saying, hey, you know what? I'm here to hang out. Like, it's the first thumbnail that I literally just put my face up there, like, hey, what's up? I'm gonna be live on a live stream, and that I didn't have like a theme or anything to it. And I'm fine with that, because it's just like, you know what? You guys are here to hang out, and I appreciate you guys, because it's like, a lot of you probably, I won't even have to put a thumbnail, and you know that I'm gonna be here because that's something that I've already established with you guys. Like, every Saturday, it's Club Camera Junkie here. That was CCJ. That one might work. Club Camera Junkie. There we go. There we go. Club Camera Junkie. And that's what I mean. You know, like, we sit here, we don't stress out. We just have fun. And I thank every single one of you guys for being here, because you're the reason why I smile this hard. Because look, yep, don't stress. I almost prefer the natural conversation that comes from a live stream like this. Yeah, and that's what I think that I'm starting to notice, because I've been putting a lot of formatting into my live streams. I've been doing a lot of things, but what I've noticed is that the days that I wasn't able to put some plan together, right? When I wasn't able to like orchestrate it exactly, is when you don't put like a limit to it, or you don't put a label. That's a good way of putting it. When you don't put a label to it, you allow it to become whatever it can become. Yeah, because last week I did put a theme, you know, like we were going to talk about the ZV-E10. And it took a total left turn, right? Like, just went completely off the rails in probably the best way possible. It wasn't anything negative. It was something that was so amazing. And if I would have to like stick to structure, it would have never happened. So I think the ability of just letting things happen naturally, let the stream go wherever it goes, and let the conversation dictate where the conversation goes, I think is something that I'm going to start trying more on the live streams, because I think it also allows me to get to know you guys a lot more, which is what I want the most out of this, right? Like, it's that community, and that's what I'm really starting to realize. I'm really starting to recognize the power of community, and I'm so grateful, so appreciative for all of you guys. Mojo says Club Camera Junkie is the place to be. Yes, sir. It says when you're passionate and you just come to share your passion, you don't even have to stress about what's going on, what you're going to do on the live stream. Yeah, and I appreciate that, because this is what I'm saying. These are the things that I'm learning now, and I'm like, you know what? And it works. It's just a conversation. It's just us hanging out. Like if my friend were to ask me, like, hey, bro, let's go to this restaurant. Let's go hang out. You wouldn't ask as many questions as like YouTube, you know, to like create a video, even if it was a live stream. And now that I've been working, you know, and I'm going to be working even more with Doc Rock, I'm realizing that, yeah, I enjoy Doc Rock's live stream so much. And he's just like, I'm going live Tuesdays and Saturdays. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on. It's like, yeah, I'm going live Tuesdays and Saturdays, and that's what's going to happen. Everything else will get figured out. And I'm really liking that aspect. Yep. So I hope you guys enjoy that as well too. Kevin saying that he likes the natural flow. Exactly. He says nothing wrong with plan, but the natural flow with the comments in the community is great. Yeah, and I like it so much. And having the ability to have this technology bring, you know, your comments onto the screen as I talk about them. And I also think that it's a lot better for me too, you know, like, so it's a symbiotic type of, you know, benefit, because I don't get lost in the chat, right? I'm able to see if somebody like hops on, like Professor Nez, the first live stream that he hopped on, like I wasn't able to see his chat until he was way gone, you know, and sometimes he's only able to spend a little time here. So it'll be a lot better if I'm able to show my appreciation for the people who show up to my live stream, like when they show up, right? I guess maybe it's like, you know, if you get invited to a party and then it takes you an hour for the host to say, hey, thanks, like, I'm glad you made it. Kind of doesn't seem the same way. And I know it's totally different, because I guess even me, like, I understand being a participant of so many live streams that if somebody like misses your message or something like that, it's not the end of the world, because it could simply just be something that they missed. But in the same way, it goes to show you that if you're able to stay on top of it, you can cultivate that relationship so much better. And that's what I think that I want to do. I want to try to put that effort, because you guys are amazing, and I want to know more about you guys as much as you guys want to know about me. So that's why it's so awesome. It says last week's stream was amazing. Ooh, that was a first. Okay, so check this out. Look at what happened here. My mouse, let me see if we can see that little lip that comes around the side? That's the clicker. It got stuck on my iPad, and even though I was pressing down, it wasn't clicking. Okay, let's move this back. So this is what he was saying. Okay, last week with letting it just happen. Thank you, sir. It says 100%. So we can do some gear talk. I really want to know your stream setup is. All right, that's cool, man. My stream setup, if you want to know right now. Okay, let me go through it real quick. Mojo says, yes, this stream is great. I said before, I'm only making shorts and trying to learn more about improving both audio and video. That's awesome, man. Okay, going back to this. So we can do some gear talk. I really want to know your setup. I stream off of the A6100. I use the $18 video capture card, and I got one of the good ones, fortunately. So I haven't had any problems with like bugging out or bad colors. I use the Sigma 16mm f1.4, and that is my main shot. My microphone, I got a really good deal on this microphone. I bought this used for $20. It's like $160 microphone. It is the Samsung MTR 101 studio condenser microphone. I have that audio running into the DBX 286S, which is my compressor, noise gate, de-esser, and vocal enhancer. Like I had mentioned to KP, Keith Pelsner, I was trying to dial in the audio, and I'm probably going to do that with either him or Doc Rock this week to see if I can really hone in on the noise gate, because I think that's what's causing a little bit of like the hiss, understandably, but air conditioning and stuff is actually on to allow me to not melt on the live stream. So I'm still working on that. That audio is leaving the 286S and is going into a small 4-channel mixer that I have right here in front of me. That's what's controlling the music, sound effects, and my microphone. I have all of that routed through the mixer and then being pumped out into the computer. So that's my microphone in. So all the audio is being controlled before it hits the computer, so that the computer doesn't have to do any of the audio processing. My sound effects here are actually this application that I purchased called Hundreds of Buttons. It's an iOS application that runs off of my iPad, and I have a old, and I really mean old, and this is how old, like I can't pull the whole iPad up, but I'm gonna show you. That's the connector, the old school 32 pin connector, not lightning, not nothing, but that old school fat 32 pin connector is the connector on this iPad 3rd generation. I had no use for this iPad whatsoever. It was literally like just there on the side, but it was a working iPad that is like hard to throw away and create more digital e-waste, you know, like. So I was lucky enough to find this this application, and then because it was already in my, you know, like in my purchase history, I was able to install it on this old iPad, and I was like, done. So now I have this like touchpad iPad, which is my soundboard, which is what gives me all the, and it even has Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, you know, on top of like that, I didn't have the funds to buy a Rodecaster Pro, right? The fact that I'm able to utilize something that was pretty much just junk to anyone else, and now it's like my sound effects, you know, that.
Okay.
So it just has a variety of buttons. I've also put my favorites so that they're easily accessible, and I don't have to go through the hundreds of buttons of list to get my audio. Then I also have my secondary iPad, which is like my everyday, my new, and it's not even the newest one. I think this is a 5th generation iPad or 6th generation. None of the like, you know, pencil or nothing like that, but it's still my latest iPad, 5th generation, and I have that connected directly via the lightning cable. Because Ecamm recognizes it as an iPad, I'm able to bring it up here. Let me see. Like that. And now it puts me on the side here and gives me like the full functionality to allow me to like search the web and actually look for items right on the spot. Like we were just talking about Owen's thing. They're up to 75,000. That's great. And that's what I have to process my computer whenever I want to search something on, you know, on the stream, for the reason that what I had working before was a completely different computer coming in through a video capture card, so that I could actually like remove the processing power of having to surf the internet from my main computer. That was before I bought the M1 Mac Mini. The Mac Mini now, because it has enough power, can control all of these things easily, including the external iPad as its own source. And that's pretty much my setup. Oh, I forgot. I did not mention, let me see. This is my second angle. This is my main photography camera. This is my Sony A7R2. But because it's my photography camera, it's the one that I take off of the stand pretty much nightly. So while I'm working here, I will take this off so that I don't bump my head into it. But that's also my second angle because it's the second angle. Oh, Art Carrasco bought me some coffee. Thank you, Art, man. That's awesome. I appreciate all of you guys, man. I definitely need the caffeine for these 2-hour streams. But that's pretty much my setup. I was using until recently because I just got my M1 Mac Mini. I was doing all of this pretty much the same exact setup on an M1. No, not listen to me. Not M1. On a Mac Mini 2013 or late 2012 i5 processor with 16 gigs RAM and an SSD hard drive. So I was doing all of my live streams until recently on a really old Mac Mini, and I was pushing it to the limit. So I had like a complete budget setup, and that was just because I preferred Ecamm, and Ecamm obviously needs to be done on a Mac. So for that reason is why I went to the Apple side, excuse me. And okay, yeah, we're there. So that's pretty much my setup. Mac M1 Mini that runs everything. I have, like I said, Samsung DBX286 to mixer. I have iPad soundboard to mixer. And all of that being run into the computer as one source, which is what you guys hear. Yep, and that's it. Another thing that I was able to do is I have a gaming computer here. So I've been running a couple of Twitch streams on a game that I've been playing. I've been playing the original Final Fantasy VII off of my computer, and I've called that like my little stream there, the Final Fantasy VII, for all of you who are Final Fantasy VII or are MMORPG fans. That what I'm doing now is that I'm removing the video capture card off of the second angle camera, and I'm just plugging in the second auxiliary from that. So whenever I run that computer, the main image is the desktop, and the second image or the second output is going into the video capture card of my M1. So now I'm running the entire Twitch stream off of my M1 with the same exact setup, including the sound effects. But now my second angle shot, right, instead of it being me, is actually the video display. And that's what allows me to play the game here on the main shot and also display it while I have me on a little bubble on the side. And it's been super convenient. So the Mac M1 has really changed the game for me. But besides that, it's pretty much a budget setup, you know. And I'm happy with it. You know, I know that there's some upgrades that can be done, but it's really not necessary. And I think my next upgrade that I want, obviously, is probably going to be the lens. I want to match the 16mm off of the second angle so that like the colors match and you can hold like the congruity between the two images. And the Elgato, I think I want to get the Elgato Camlink 4K. You're only as strong as your weakest link, and I believe that the video capture card here, I'm gonna bring one up, one of these, right? These little USB capture cards from Amazon, they're like $18. For me, they have worked good, right? Like, I have absolutely no problem with the image quality that I'm providing right now, whether it's on first or second angle camera. Like, this is perfect for me, right? What I have noticed is that when I'm doing restreams, and I don't know if that has to do so much with the internet itself, because it also happens to like dock rock and stuff like that. You know, you can get some internet lag, and you know, you're gonna decrease the quality of your image output. But I've noticed that I've gotten that a lot when I've jumped onto other people's streams. So for that reason is why I'm trying to see if maybe the Elgato Cam Link will probably give me that little boost in quality. Not so much for my streams, but for a restream when I'm hopping onto somebody else's. And that's about it. Okay, so it says your iPad is giving a lot of problems for you tonight. Well, it depends on which one. The sound effects one is fine. The other one was a piece of junk right now. Says, dude, awesome. Affordable setup, quality is great. Thank you. Says, but you have nearly all the functionality of a Rodecaster Pro. If you didn't tell anyone that you weren't using it, you would never know. And that's and that you're using all of the top of the line gear. Well, thank you, man. That's kind of like the whole thing, right? Because look, this is the way I see it. I got into television and film like when I was young. Always loved the behind the scenes, you know, cameras and stuff like that. So now I really started like researching the behind the scenes, and then you start like seeing video documentaries of like the greatest directors of our era. And one that always struck me, and I saw this years ago, was Steven Spielberg, and how Steven Spielberg started making films at the age of 8. So now at the age of 8, he decided to make a World War II war film with his friends. And you'd be like, that's pretty ambitious for an 8-year-old kid. Yeah, it is. But the thing is, he already had a vision of how he wanted to create this whole thing. So for example, an 8-year-old kid has a movie that he created where his friends will throw a fake grenade, and the next shot you actually see an explosion in dirt. At 8 years old, and you're like, how did he produce that? Well, what he did was, you know a seesaw? You know, old school, you know, playground toys. Well, he basically made a makeshift seesaw, right? And he put like a brick and a piece of wood, and then on the end of the wood, he just piled a bunch of dirt. And then using low angles and shooting up towards hills, he had his friends hit the bottom or the opposite side of the plank, and it would cause the sand to bust into the air, as causing like an explosion. And edited correctly with the tossing of the fake grenade gave you all the imagery that you needed to illustrate an explosion. And this is him at 8 years old. So that's part of exactly that, like what, you know, Kevin just said, that if I didn't like kind of like snitch on myself and say that I'm using all this budget gear, nobody would be able to tell the difference. And that's what's like, that's what movie making is about, right? Like, you know, maybe a bunch of us, I'm a big Back to the Future fan, right? And if anyone has seen the trilogy, right, they know that in part 3, in the Western one, to get the time machine up to 33 or up to 88 miles an hour, they had to put it on a track and get the train to create the momentum to get it to that speed. What most people don't know is that it was a 1/3 scale. The car, the train, everything was all model. It's like there was never, you know, like Michael J. Fox was never in a car in front of a train, because that entire sequence and what you're seeing it and like it almost going over the cliff, all of that was shot overhead, and you think it's a helicopter shot, and it's not. It's a small scaled down model of the vehicle being pushed by a small scaled down train and being shot off of a single camera that was propped on the back side of a pickup truck. Nobody would know, right? If I didn't tell you right now that that's how that movie was made, you probably think that everything was full size, full scale. And it's not, because that's the process of movie magic, right? Like, to be all sincerity, like, this side of my room is clean. That side still needs a little work. Because that's the behind the scenes. That's like, you know what? I'll get to that after the stream. And I'll worry about that later. But that all has to go with it. So hopefully that helps you guys out as well. That, you know, like, I also don't have all the space that I want here. So if I were to be gifted a aperture 120D with a light dome, I would love it, and I wouldn't be able to use it because I cannot physically fit it here. So what did I do? Some of you have seen it. I'm going to bring it back out. I created my own light fixture with grid. It's what gives me my light. It's magnetic and is completely controlled by my wireless app on my phone. I had to make what I needed because what I needed couldn't be easily purchased in the stores. So it's all about the behind the scenes and the movie magic. But hopefully that inspires you guys to realize that you can make the most out of pretty much nothing and get a good image. You just have to be creative, right? We have to think outside the box, and sometimes as creatives we forget that we have the ability to be creative with all aspects of what we're doing. Because from my experience, whenever we were doing like a makeshift movie, a project for friends, like we didn't have budgets to buy and everything that we needed, especially when I was in high school. So we made this stuff, you know, like paper mache rocks, you know, to make like an image of a boulder, and learn how to spray paint some of these things together to give the aesthetic. And that's all you need. So sometimes we forget that we're creatives and how to be creative. He says oh, I like the rim light on the second cam. Oh, well, that's the same light. This light here. Let's see. Let me see. Moving it. Okay. Yeah. That's the same light, but as you can see, if I get there, oh, it gets too much. So I have to try to keep myself like in line sometimes. What I end up noticing is like when I'm using this camera, right there, you're seeing the light. And it's because I could literally see the shadow of my face kind of like move outside of the lens. And whenever I see that, I try to like bring it back just so that it's not blinding. But yeah, all those details. Thanks for noticing, Jared. And that goes to show you, you guys really want to talk about like budget. I love that light, right? That light gives my rim and everything like that, the separation. That's my hair or my backlight. That light came out of, what was it? It was a $40 projector. Okay, like a television projector, like a movie projector that you would connect to your computer or something like that. Imagine a $40 piece of junk projector that came from Wish. Okay, just so that you understand. That's what I had. It was broken. I tried to fix it. Wasn't worth fixing. It was a complete Mickey Mouse piece of junk. But instead of just trashing the entire thing, I disassembled it and I retrieved that light, that cob LED that's super hella bright. And it had like this magnifier in front of it. I created a snoot. And for those of you who don't know what a snoot is, it's just basically like a cone that goes from wide to thin to hone down the light so that light just doesn't spread everywhere, and I have it controlled where I want, which is just around my rim here. But that's a makeshift broken $40 like visual projector light, but I was able to repurpose that, and I had it here just because it was a really bright light. I used it like a flood lamp, but it eventually became my hair light, and Jared's giving me compliments on that. He likes the way that the rim looks off that light. I do too, but it just goes to show you that that's just another piece of my junkie camera equipment. My camera junkie setup. That should be a video. It says you can have. It says, oh, this is what I'm reading. You can have my Elgato 4K if you want. Send me your address. Are you for real? That's awesome, Jared. I'd be honored. I've been looking for one, and they're like, you can't even find them on Amazon, and the ones like right now they're going like through the roof, close to $200. Oh man, that's awesome, bro. I'd appreciate that. The funny thing is, you know what? I'm gonna send you my address. I appreciate it because your live stream is why I want to make sure that I have a good 4K, because I'm going to be I have the honor to be on Jared Spink's the Hive podcast. We have it set up for next Saturday, so I'm probably going to be talking about that on the stream as well. And yeah, so I would definitely I'm gonna send you the direct message, and we'll see about working that out, man. I'd appreciate it. That's so awesome. Guitar giveaway channel. It's been a while, bro. How you been? Says, how are you, man? Greetings from Australia. You're doing great things. I saw you on D Niman's live stream with Luria from Live Streaming Pros. That was great. That's awesome, because I was just talking about that last week. So that's super cool. That was so much fun, and kind of like something that I'm still in awe about, because, you know, it's Luria and D, and I've been following D for a while, and he's just so awesome. I appreciate D for his coolness and what he's done on this platform. I'm a member of the Niminati, and I was so honored to be on his live stream. It was super cool. I'm glad that you saw it, man. That's awesome. Thank you. Art says, my Camlink 4K has given me issues where the generic capture card has been flawless. Quality does take a hit for sure, but reliability, I got a bad one. No heat sinks. Look at that. So you see, you can get bad tech either or, whether you're spending $20 or $120. It makes, you just have to test it out, right? You have to test it out. And like I said, I've had no problems with my Amazon. That's what you're seeing right now. And yeah, so, but I'm still gonna hit up Jared because I want to give him the best quality that I can. Says, okay, I just wanted to thank you for my first video you streamed on the M1. I was deciding factor for me to buy the M1 Mini for audio engineering and video editing. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's why I do this. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. If you want, if you can leave me your name so that I know your name, or the way that you want me to pronounce this, like RX. I wouldn't even know how to say that. Souls. But if you want to leave me your name, I'd appreciate it, and I thank you for leaving me that comment. That really means a lot to me, and the fact that you're just not lurking and that you're being part of the community, that means the world to me as well. So thank you. Because I have 4 Camlink 4Ks, but used them with Ecamm Live software, and I used them to stream last night with Peter Gregg, and it worked flawlessly. Yeah. They're very good you know, like all like Doc Rock that I'm working with, all of them, they use the 4K cam links, you know, but I wasn't able to get that when I started, and now that I'm looking for it, they're kind of like not being able to be found, so that sucks. So it's just amazing. Like, that's just another thing that goes to show you. Look at this amazing community that Jared just shout out to me. He's like, yo, send me the address and I'm gonna get one to you, because that's just still awesome, man. So that thing still blows my mind. Unreal. I think we're talking about the M1, which, if it is, man, that it really is. So it handles everything. And this is the crazy thing, right? I still have my old i5 Mac Mini on top of my M1. And what I did 2 weeks ago was I shut it off and I ran the M1 with dual monitors. So I have two TVs as my television monitors here, as my computer monitors, to correct myself. And I had like the M1 here and the i5 over there. So what I did is that I shut off the i5 processor and Mac Mini, and now I ran the second display over here, and it's been 2 weeks, and I was like, I'm gonna give it a week to see if I don't need to turn on the other one, and I haven't had the need to turn on the other computer, which is amazing. Which is, we're talking about all of my live streaming, all of my participation in live streaming, all of my video editing while I'm just researching and handling all my emails and paperwork with the dual monitors, everything. And this thing doesn't even break a sweat. It doesn't even break a sweat. Excuse me, man. I have an itch right there. The edge of my nose is driving me crazy. I think you see me like go at it a couple of times. I think I should be good now. Making your own light. That's some Casey Neistat mojo there. And you know what? That's so cool that you mentioned that. I don't know Casey Neistat like that. I've met so many creators. They're like, oh, I started watching Casey. And I'm like, no, I'm so new to the platform that Casey was not like my introduction to YouTube. When Casey was like the hottest thing, I was nowhere near YouTube. So that's cool. I think I would have really liked a lot of his earlier stuff. And I don't know if I have the time to go back and check it out, but because it seems very similar. Like when you see a problem, you just try to create the solution instead of just trying to go on Amazon to find it. Recycle tech. Yes, absolutely. I believe this is said Himari Suzuki. He's saying hi. Hopefully I pronounce your name correct. He says, gotta get going. Thanks for another great stream this week. Yeah, actually, it's 1:30 a.m. I should be getting going too. I messaged this guy, Viper, to see if... Let me see. Are they still on? I would have to check. Oh, that would be crazy. He's saying catch everyone later. Oh, he says it's Rooks. Okay, now I know. So Rooks, I can do. I appreciate for the correction, sir. But now I'm gonna do my best to remember that. You're always welcome here on the live stream, and always feel free to say hi. We all appreciate you, like hanging out. Says I bought duds before, computers, components mainly. Oh, that sucks. Timmy Rooks. Nice. Okay. Timmy Rooks. Like I said, I'm gonna do my best. I'm working on my mental fortitude to remember names, and I should have yours down. Timmy Rooks. It says it breaks no sweat. Run Logic with 40 plus plugins, and I'm about to be live streaming on my new channel called Producer TV. Awesome. Welcome to the YouTube platform, man. Welcome to the community. It's amazing here. I recommend it to everyone. So we'll definitely give you a shout out, and I would love to network with you. Absolutely, man. You can find me on all social medias under MrCameraJunkie. And shoot me a DM, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter. Those would probably be the easiest ways to get in contact with me. And yeah, just say, hey, it's Timmy Rooks. And that's all I will need to know, man. I got you. Rob is in the house. A little late, but I'm glad that I stuck around this late to give you the ability to stop on in. How you doing, sir? Jared's saying good night, so I think he's heading out. And I think I'm going to be heading out as well, As always, guys, I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out here. Yeah, I appreciate you for taking your time to hang out here with me. It's our most precious commodities, and that's why I'm always so honored and grateful to have you guys here hanging out with me. It really makes my week. I would say it makes my week. Like, this live stream is something that keeps me going, and like I said, it's an inevitability. I will always be here, this Club Camera Junkie, and I appreciate all of you for hanging out here with me. So As always, take care of yourselves. Have a great week. You know, be safe, and I will see you guys next Saturday, 10:55 p.m. Eastern Time. Same Camera Junkie place, same Camera Junkie channel. As always, have a great night, and I'll see everyone in the next one. Do you love your camera but wish some of the buttons were easier to get to? This is how I fix the situation. I get out my trusty